Hi everyone, my name is Yemi and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In my last video, I showed you what Amazon Bedrock is and I gave you some example models on Amazon Bedrock platform and also gave you some example use cases of that and also some benefit of using Amazon Bedrock. If you have not watched that video, I encourage you to go and watch that right now. Okay, I'm going to be putting the link to this video in the description below, so make sure you watch that and make sure you share it with your friends. Okay, however, in today's video, what we are going to be looking at is building your first AI chatbot. Yeah, I'm going to be teaching you how you can build your first AI chatbot using Amazon Bedrock, which I explained in my previous video, and Streamlit. Okay, so we're going to be using Streamlit as our front end application, meaning our UI. So in this case, I can ask the Amazon Bedrock a question. I can say, explain apples to a child. So I'm going to be typing the question on the front end. Okay, I'm typing it on the front end and I am clicking a button, say ask, and then it's going to give me a response. Okay, that is what I'm going to be showing you right here. Right here. Let us build a basic chatbot, AI chatbot using Bedrock and Streamlit. All right, now I'm going to open my Visual Studio Code, which I have opened right here, and then I will navigate to a folder which I have created, wherein I'm going to be creating my .py file and also my virtual environment. Okay, now what I'm going to do right now is let me navigate to this folder right now in my Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to come to this Explorer. I'll come to open folder and then I will navigate there. I have it somewhere here. So I'm going to be having it right. So I'm going to be having it here and then I come to this place. Okay, I'm going to open. Right now I have it right here. I'm going to open my terminal. I'll go to new terminal. Let me see if I can zoom this a little bit. I'm come to view appearance, zoom in. Let me see if I can do it one more time. Okay, this might be okay. Let's see if this would work. Okay, now I'm going to choose command prompts, delete PowerShell. Okay, very good. I'm going to delete this. So the first thing that I'm going to do first of all right here is for us to build an application, a Python application, it's always good for us to create a virtual environment. So I'm going to create a virtual environment right here, and then I will type it here. I'm just going to do copy and paste to make it go faster. So python-m vmv, and this is the name of the virtual environment, because your virtual environment is where we are going to be installing all the packages we are going to be using in this video. Okay, in this project. So I'm going to create this environment. I'm going to click enter now. Click enter. You can see that the environment is being created there. Okay, very good. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to activate the environment. If I open up this virtual environment, I'm going to come to these scripts and see scripts as activate. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to say cd into the environment. I'm going to cd into that, and then I'm going to cd into the scripts, and then now I can do activate. Now that I've activated, you can see chatbots underscore VNV. So let me clear so that I can move to the top. Now you can see I'm already inside the virtual environment. So now that I'm inside the virtual environment, I'm using Windows. If you are using a Mac, you will probably have to do something like this. Source, you will have to do something like this to activate. Source chatbot underscore VNV bin / activate. You probably have to do something like that. Okay, so try that. That should work for you to activate your virtual environment. Okay, so I'm going to remove this, but because I'm using Windows, there is a different way to activate, which is what I have just showed you guys. Okay, now that we have our virtual environment, I can just navigate back to the folder directory. Okay, I think I have that right now. Okay, now I'm going to need Boto 3 for this project. I'm going to need, let me close this so I can have full screen. Okay, very good. So I'm going to need Boto 3 for this project. So I'm going to do pip install Boto 3 because Boto 3 is going to help us to communicate with our AWS services. Okay, so I'm going to say pip install Boto 3, and that's going to install right now. It's going to take a couple of seconds to install. Take note, I'm installing that in my virtual environment, and that was why we activated the virtual environment first. Okay, that is done. Then the next thing I'm going to do, I'll do CLS so I can go back up. Then I'm going to also do a pip install of AWS CLI, because we're also going to use the AWS CLI to configure the user that we're going to create in the IAM. We're going to create IAM user in AWS. Okay, we're going to have access key and the secret access key. I'm going to configure that. So we need AWS CLI. So let me pip install that. Okay, that's going to be done. Okay, now that's done. Then the next thing we are going to do, let me do CLS clear. The next thing is, let us also install Streamlit, because we're also going to be using Streamlit. So pip install Streamlit. So that also is going to run right now. Okay, if you have not used Streamlit before, you are going to see how that works. It's a Python framework that helps us to be able to create a front end easily. Instead of you using React and all of that, you can just use it. It's basically a Python framework that makes UI easy. Okay, so now that we have installed Boto 3, AWS CLI, and Streamlit, the next thing I would like us to do is to go into our AWS account. So if you don't have your AWS account, you need to go and sign up for AWS account. Okay, if you have that already, go ahead to sign in, and then go ahead to look for IAM. Type IAM, and then you can click on that. You can open that in a new tab. Okay, so now that we have that, what we want to do is that we want to create a new user. I'll just come right here. I'll click users. Okay, you can see I have different users here already, but I'm going to create a new user right here. I'm going to say create user. I'm going to give it a name. I will say chatbot YouTube. Okay, so this is the user that is going to be interacting with AWS Bedrock. Okay, so chatbot underscore YouTube. I'm not going to give it my AWS console. That option I'm not going to give that. I'm just going to do next. Now in this case right here, I don't want to assign it to, I don't want to add it to a group. What you're going to be doing in most companies is that you're going to be added to a group, and that group can be given some permissions. But in this case, you're just going to be attaching policy to this user. You are just going to be giving it administrative access. Normally in real world, in the company, you are going to be giving limited access based on what you need to perform. But in this case, we'll just give you administrator access. Okay, and then I will come back down, and then I'll say next. I will say next, and then if you like, I'll give some tags right here. Okay, but in this case, I'm not going to do that. Then I will just say create user. Okay, so now you can see we have created the user chatbot underscore YouTube. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm just going to click on this user, and then I'm going to create access key for this user. So I'll click on this access key. You can also navigate to security credentials and then go down right here. Click this. You can also create the access key from here, okay? Like I just showed, or better still, you do it from here. So I'll say create access key. So I want to give it command line interface access so that we can programmatically interact with AWS Bedrock, okay? So, and then I will check this. I understand the above recommendation. I want to proceed to create an access key. So I'll say next. I'll say next, and then you can give some description right here, just so you remember the reason why you created this user. So I can say the user is for YouTube education, something like that. Let me spell my YouTube very well. The user is for YouTube education, or whatever thing you need to type that will help you to remember the reason you created the user. So I will say create access key. Now you can see I have my access key right here, my secret access key. So if you navigate away from this page, you are going to lose these keys. So what you're going to do is download the CSV. If I click on this, it's going to download. Now it has downloaded, but I will still remain on this page. Okay. Now that we have created that, what we can also do is that let's also go right there now to our to Bedrock and take a look quickly at what model we want to be using for this project. So you're going to go to Bedrock, and then this is Bedrock. So I can open this in a new tab. Now, take note, guys, Amazon keeps changing the way the interface is and all of that. So that means that if you are watching this video in another 3 months or 6 months time, this may have changed a little bit. So you just have to look for what you are trying to find. Okay. So now just come to model catalog. I'll click this. And then in my last video, I showed you guys what this screen is all about. Okay. So in today's video, I'm just going to go straight to Anthropic, because the provider of the model I want to use is Anthropic. So I'll just go to Anthropic, and then I want to use Anthropic. I want to use Cloud 3 IQ. So I can just click on this, and then I can play with it in the playground and all of that. And one thing also you want to make sure that you do is that you want to make sure that this also is available in the region where you are. If this were not to be available, let me show you something, guys, real quick. Let me show you something, guys, so that at least you know that some models are not in some regions. If you look at this model catalog, this is 247 right here. If I switch my region to, let's just say I want to switch it to, let's say Tokyo. Let's see what happens. Tokyo. So it was 247 before. Now you can see this is 200, right? So meaning that there are 200 models available in this Asia Pacific Tokyo. So you want to make sure that the model you want to use for your own practice is in the region that you are going to be interested in. Because when we are doing the end of AWS configure, we are going to configure which region we want to get our model from, which region we are operating from, right? So meaning that which region I want to interact with. So in my own case, it is US West 2. So I'll change it back there. You'll see that it's going to be 247 back again. You can see 247. Okay. Now I'll go to Anthropic, and then I'll go to Cloud 3 IQ. And this is what I need right here. Okay. So now that I've showed you guys the model, how to get to the model, and I've also showed you the region. In my own case, this is the region. You can decide to choose a different one for your own use case. However, if you really want to follow this project, I will advise that you choose this same one. That way, you know, since this is your first time building an AI chatbot, I would say just follow along with what I'm doing so that at least you don't get too many errors. Then after you have understood what I have done, then you can try a different model on your own and play around with the AWS Bedrock documentation so that you can find what you need to use. Because as we are going to see in the project very soon, there are different model has its own different way of being called, meaning the API body and all of that, it's different, right? So it's based on the different models. So, but in this case, it's Cloud 3 IQ that I'm going to be showing you guys. Okay. So now let me go back to my Visual Studio Code, and then I'll say CLS. Let's go back up right there. And now let us now configure our AWS. Remember that we have done a pip install AWS CLI, right? So now let us do AWS configure. I'll say AWS configure. Now it's asking me for AWS access key. So I'll come right here. Remember we created that before. I will come right here, access key. I copy it, and then I will Control V. I say enter, and then I'll go and copy my secret key. You are going to be seeing my secret key right here, but that's okay because I'm going to delete it after this video, so you won't be able to access it. So I will say enter, and then you can see my default region. It was able to identify my default region. If this is not your default region, then just type your own region. Okay. So if your region is, take for example, if I come here, if your region is US-East-1, so just type that if that is what you want to use. But like I said, I would advise you to just follow along with this video, meaning that just type in US-West-2 in your own case. Okay, since this one has identified my default region, I will just say enter. Now also my default output format is JSON. If in your case, if this is blank, so just type JSON. Okay, if it is blank, just type JSON. Okay, then I'll say enter. So now I have been able to configure my AWS CLI. So now my AWS CLI knows who this user is based on this access key and this secret access key. Okay, so now what I will then start to do right now is to start my development. Okay, so now I'm going to right click here and then create a new file. I will call it app.py. Okay, very good. And then I will import my different packages. So I have Boto3 and then I have JSON. We are also going to be using Streamlit. So let me also have Streamlit also right now. Okay, I'm going to save that. Right now, we don't need to run anything. So now what I'm going to do is that since we want to interact with Bedrock, remember that I just told you that I want to use this Cloud 3 IQ. I want to interact. I want to build my chatbot with this Cloud 3 IQ, right? So first of all, I'm going to need Boto3 to be able to connect to it, okay? So the first thing I'll need to do is to initialize my Bedrock client, okay? My Bedrock client. So what I'm going to be doing right here is that I'm going to say, okay, my region is US-West-2, which is what I have passed here, region. You can see region name is region. Then service name is, you have to put Bedrock-runtime. Now you might say, oh, where am I getting all these things? That's why you have to take a look at the documentation of any of the models that you are trying to use, okay? You take a look at the model. So in the case of this one, you can see you have to create a Bedrock runtime client, and that is what I have just created. In my own case, I'm using US West, right, instead of US East, okay? So now that I have done that, and then what another thing I'm going to also declare are what we call model IDs. So let's do this. So model ID, you're going to need model ID. How did we get that? If you come back right here, you can see it says set the model ID, e.g. Cloud 3 IQ. This is the model ID of Cloud 3 IQ. And you can also get it from the model itself. You can see this is the Cloud 3 IQ, right? and this is the model ID. You can see model ID. This is the model ID. Just click this to copy, and then you can paste it right here, which is what I have done right here. And then your assets and content type, just put application/JSON. Okay, just put application/JSON. All right, and then the next thing we are also going to be doing right now is that we are going to be creating the body. We are going to be creating the body. Okay, so let us create a body. I'm going to be copying this, then I'm going to be pasting it right here. Okay, see what I am doing here, guys. So I'm creating message right here. So I'm saying, let me use search so you can see all the screen. Okay, so what I'm doing right here is that I'm creating a body right here, which you're going to see what we're going to do very soon. So this is my message, meaning that what is the role user, what is the content, the type is text, and what is the text, what am I trying to send, what question am I trying to ask the Bedrock model, which is Cloud 3 IQ. So I'm saying that explain black holes to 8th graders. We are going to be removing this later on when we want to integrate Streamlit, but for now leave it that way. Okay, and then we are going to be giving it a max token, right? Let's just say 300. So this one you can make it higher than 300. You can see if you come to, it says max token 200k, right? But in this case I don't need up to that, because take notes, let me show you this tab right here. We are also being charged based on your number of input tokens and your number of output tokens and all of that. But although the charges are so small, you can see this charge, you can see per this 1000 tokens is very, very small, right? So, but then let's make it easy on our side. Let's just say 300. And then we are going to be setting temperature to be 0.1 and top P to be 0.9. Okay, we're going to be playing with stuff like this in another video, so don't worry about this right now. Just use those numbers. Okay, so now we have created that. So now what we can then do is that this body that we just created, we will need to convert it to a JSON string, and that is what this next line of code is going to do for us. So we are converting this body right here to JSON string, because that is what the invoke model is going to accept. So now let us invoke the model. Let us invoke the model. Let us come right here. We want to invoke the model right now. Let me write it very well. Okay. So you can see what we are doing is that Bedrock _ client. Remember that we had already initialized the Bedrock client right here using Boto 3, right? So now we want to interact with the Cloud 3 IQ, which we've already passed right here, model ID, and then we are passing it here, model ID. Okay, then this accept, remember we said accept is application/JSON, content type is application/JSON. I've already put that right here. Okay, and then this body inside this invoke model, it is this JSON string that we have right here, which is this request body. Okay, so now this is going to return for us a response. It's going to return for us a response. Now let us parse the response body. Now let's see what that is going to give us. So now I'm going to have that. So this response right here is what I am saying, that response.getBody read JSON.load. So it's going to load that into this, right? So then what I really want to show you guys is that let's take a look at what this response body is before we extract the exact thing that we need right there. I just want to show you guys, just want you guys to really understand what is really going on here, guys. You can see that now right here I'm saying that I'm getting the body inside this rest underscore body. So I want to print it out right here. So what we are now going to do is that we are going to run this application right now. If we have any error, we would debug the error. But essentially, if you come to this right here, this is also is showing, I think here, right here. Yeah, you can see what I've just showed you is what you can also find right here. This is the request. You can see JSON.doms. This is what we created before the body, and then you have convert the native request to JSON, and then we are getting back the response like I just showed you guys, and then we are reading it. But before we extract the text, the exact text we need, let us first of all see what is inside this REST body that we are going to get. That's this body. So let us see. So I'm going to save this, and then we are going to run our app.py. So I will say Python app.py. If you are using Mac, you might probably have to do Python 3 or something, Python 3. But let me do CLS first. Let me move this up. Then I'll say Python app.py. Let's run. So now it's trying to connect to the Bedrock. Remember, you need to save before you run. Very good. Now you can see this has run. And remember that we already asked the question. If you remember that in our body right here, we asked explain black holes to 8th graders. That was what we asked. So in our response body, you can see we have a dictionary, we have ID. This is the ID. We have type. It says message. We have role. It says assistance, meaning that the Bedrock is assisting us, is giving us response. Then what was the model that we are using? Is the Cloud 3 IQ. Now, what is the content? Type is text, just like we put right here. What is the text? Now, you see now it's responding to me now. It says, okay, let's talk about black holes in a way that 8th graders can understand. Imagine you have a really, really, really heavy object, like a giant star. This star is so heavy that it starts to collapse in on itself. You see now that it's answering, is giving me the response. Okay, and then it says stop raising max token, stop sequence none. Now, the next thing we would like to do is that we are interested in this text right here. This okay, and all of these things up to this place. Up to this that says they are like giant cosmic puzzle that scientists are still trying to figure out. So that is where the response actually is. Now, how do we get that? Okay, and that is where we need this line of code, which I'm going to shoot out, which I'm going to give to you guys right now. Okay, so if I bring this, let's me. Okay, so I'm going to do this. So I'm going to comment out this because we don't need this anymore now. But now what I need is this REST body. Now I want to grab that content. You can see this content right here. And then at index 0, that's where you have all these things. And then this text, this is the key of this dictionary. So if I grab this text, then it's going to grab for me all the values right here. So we are going to print that one out. So let us take a look. So I'm going to save that and then do CLS, and then I'm going to do Python app.py. Let's see what we get, guys. Remember what we still have in the question. It's still the same question. Explain black holes. Okay, so I'm going to run, enter. Now it's communicating with the Bedrock Cloud 3 icon in the Bedrock. Now, very good. Now you see now, guys, that now it has given me the response. Now it says, okay, let's talk about black holes in a way that 8th graders can understand. Imagine you have a really, really heavy object. Now I've been able to extract that. So now this is what it has given me, right? Now that we have all of this, now everything is working. But if you want to create your application, you want your users to be able to see, to be able to ask the questions in the Streamlit interface or your front-end interface, and you want them to also get the response in the front-end interface. You don't want your users to always come to command line, right? And that is exactly what we want to do now. Now we have seen that the Bedrock is functioning. Everything is working fine. Let us build the Streamlit right now. And remember that we have also imported the Streamlit, right? So what I'm going to do right now is that I am going to be doing some refactoring or some changing of some things right here. Okay, just follow me. Okay, so what I'm going to do right here is that I am going to say for the Streamlit line UI, remember that I've imported Streamlit as st. So I'll say st.setPageConfig. So I'm giving it this title, Ask Cloud. The page icon, I'm going to see this image. Then this is going to be my title. I'm saying Ask Cloud via Amazon Bedrock. Okay. Now, I need to collect user inputs, right? Now, for me to collect user inputs, let's do this. Let's give it a variable user underscore input. Then we say st, which is your Streamlit dot text area. We want a text area. Then I'll say enter your question. Then there is a placeholder, right? This is just a placeholder. This is not a question, but it's just a placeholder. E.g., explain black holes to 8th graders. Okay. And then I need a button. I will say Streamlit.button, ask. You can always put anything right here. You can give it a different name. Okay. Then you say submit. If you like, you can put submit also right here. So that's the variable. Okay. Now, let us do this. Then I can give some conditions right here. I can say now, if submit, that means that if the user submits, and user input, and if there is a user input, right? So again, I'm going to strip, the empty spaces right and left. That's why I'm using the strip. And then I'll say with st.spinner thinking, that means that when you click ask, that means when you submit, when you enter your input and then you also submit, then the model is going to be thinking, right? So as the model thinks, then as you know, Python loves indentation. So now I am going to indent this part right now. This should be good. Now, what I'm going to do right now is that I am going to then change this question right here now. I'm going to change it to the question we really want to ask, because remember that we are already asking, we said the user is going to ask the question here, which is going to be assigned to this variable. So let us put the variable here. That way, that's going to be the message. That's going to be the prompt. Okay, so all this still remains the same. And then right now, we can then say, let us now convert the body, this body, to the JSON, right, like we did before. And then let us also invoke the cloud model, So basically everything that we did before, but right now we are wrapping it inside a conditional statement, meaning that when users enter the user input and also click submit, that is when all this will then happen, right? So now we have our response. Let us pass the response, which you have seen before. And then now I can delete this, or maybe let me delete it. That way it doesn't confuse you guys, because I'm going to be giving you guys this code on my GitHub, so you can clone my GitHub and then you can have access to all this code right there. Okay, I'm going to be pushing it to my GitHub. So also this now, let me also have this. However, in the case of this now, I am not going to print anymore, right? So let us give this a variable name. Let's call it answer, meaning that, remember, this is the text. Remember, I showed you how we extracted the text, the response from the model. So that response, we want to show it to the user on the user's screen, right? So that is why we are going to give this a variable answer. Now that we have gotten that, let us also create this markdown, which you are going to see on the UI, and then let us then write the answer back to the user on the Streamlit UI. That way, the user can see the response based on your question. Because remember that the user is going to type, when we run this, the user is going to type his question right here. It's going to be inside this user input, which is going to be passed right here inside this body. Okay, and then you will get your response back on the Streamlit app. So let us save this, Control S, and now let us run. But now, because this is a Streamlit application now that we are creating, so we need to run. So we need to run this. So how do we run Streamlit application? We just come to streamlit.run. Then what's the name of our app? Remember, it's app.py, and then I'm going to click that. So when I click that, now it's starting to run, and that has opened in another browser. It's going to open on this URL 8501 port. So what I'm going to do is I can just copy this to this browser. Since in my own case it has opened another browser, then let me just open it in this browser so that you can see everything in this one browser that I've been sharing with you. Now you can see what we've just gotten, guys. You can see Ask Cloud. Now you can see Ask Cloud via Amazon Bedrock. In this case, you have been able to create a very basic AI chatbot using Amazon Bedrock and Streamlit. Let us ask it a basic question. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video and you want more of this video, can you please click that like button right now and make sure you share this video with your friends, your colleagues at work and all of that. And also make sure, if you have not subscribed to this channel, go right now and subscribe to this channel, because there are still more videos that I have for you guys. Okay, still many more projects that we are going to be working on. We're still going to be working on agents. We're still going to be doing agentic AI and all of that. So be rest assured that you are going to be learning a lot, and you really don't want to miss any of this. Therefore, go right there now and click that notification button, that notification bell, so that you can be notified anytime I release any of my videos. All right, guys, now let us ask our question. I can say, what is greenhouse gas? Let's see, what is greenhouse gas? Then I say ask. Now you can see it's thinking. Remember that part of the code that we had? Very good. You can see cloud's response. If you remember that part of the code, that part of my code where I said markdown, you can see this markdown. That's what is happening right there. You can see greenhouse gases are gases in the Earth atmosphere that trap heat from the sun and warm the planet. The main greenhouse gases are CO2, methane, nitrous oxide, N2O, and all of that. You can see. And let's say you want to say is climate change real? Is climate change real? I can say ask. Let's see. It's thinking. Let's see what it gives us. Very good. It says cloud's response. It says climate change is a complex and controversial topic with different views and opinions. The scientific consensus based on extensive research and evidence is that climate change is real and largely driven by human activities. You can see how we are able to be calling the Cloud IQ 3 API, and we are interacting with it via our Streamlit application. Like I told you guys, in another video, we are really going to be looking at even more complex a project where you're going to be chatting with this, just like you are chatting with ChatGPT. And also in another video, we are going to be looking at agents. We are going to be looking at knowledge bases. We are going to be looking at agentic AI. So be ready for all of these, guys. Again, guys, if you have not subscribed to this channel, go ahead right now and subscribe and share this video with your friends, with your colleagues, and make sure you like the video, okay? And make sure you put your comment in the comment section below. If you have any question, feel free to ask in the comment section below, okay? Guys, I'm going to be putting these links, this documentation in the description below. Make sure you get that. And also this video where I explained what Amazon Bedrock is, I'm also going to be sharing that with you. And also this code, I'm going to be pushing it to my GitHub so you can clone it from there. Now you can see how easy it is for you to build your very first basic AI chatbot using AWS Bedrock and Streamlit. You can easily ask your questions and then you get your answer. All right, guys, I will see you in the next class. Bye.